So what if the cure to AI hallucinations wasn't, a smarter, more advanced algorithm? What if it was just an AI locked in a windowless room with nothing but your specific documents?
Right, just completely cut off from the rest of the internet.
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. Today, our mission is a little different. It's actually a complete flip. We're taking you from being a listener of AI-generated audio, which you might experience every week, to becoming a power user of the very tool that makes it all possible.
Yeah, and to do that, we're looking at a really practical guide today. It details exactly how this tool Notebook LM actually works, and we're specifically focusing on its professional applications.
Right, like in healthcare administration, for example.
Exactly, because when you are dealing with high-stakes professional work, the rules of how you use AI completely change.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because the fundamental tension with artificial intelligence in a professional setting is, well, it's trust, right?
Oh, absolutely. Trust is the whole ball game.
I mean, when you're staring down a 50-page regulatory update or some dense quarterly operations report, you obviously want to automate that reading process. You want to bypass the manual labor of uncapping a yellow highlighter
Ugh, the worst.
and just hunting for a single metric on page 42.
Mm-hmm.
But the second you hand that PDF to a standard chatbot, you introduce doubt. You can never quite trust if the summary it gives you is brilliant analysis or just a very confident fabrication.
Yeah, and that tension really comes down to a fundamental difference in design. To master Notebook LM, you have to understand why it behaves so differently from the general purpose tools you probably use all the time, like Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini.
Right, the general AI tools.
Exactly. Those general systems are built on massive internet-scale training data. Their breadth is their entire value proposition. Like, you can ask them to write a poem about a toaster or explain quantum physics, and they will just do it.
But the trade-off for that infinite breadth is that they are ultimately just prediction engines, right?
Yes, they operate on statistical likelihood.
Now, so if you ask a general AI about a really specific compliance code in a healthcare document, and it doesn't immediately have that exact detail heavily weighted in its neural network, its programming basically forces it to guess.
Right. It strings together words that sound statistically plausible based on patterns it has seen before, which is, the mechanism behind a hallucination.
It's not trying to lie to you.
No, not maliciously. It is just completing a pattern. But Notebook LM takes the exact opposite approach. It uses an architecture known as grounded AI.
Grounded AI.
Yeah. It separates the reading and searching engine from the writing engine, so it only searches the documents you actually upload.
Only your document.
Only yours. When you ask it a question, it does not consult the broad internet to formulate the answer. If the answer isn't in your files, it simply tells you it doesn't know.
So it's kind of like general AI is like a brilliant but overconfident friend who might just confidently bluff an anther at trivia night.
Right. Because I hate saying I don't know.
Exactly. Whereas Notebook LM is more like a meticulous researcher locked in a room who will only speak if they can point to a specific sentence in the physical soldiers you handed them.
That is the perfect analogy. And that meticulous researcher design is exactly what makes it so valuable for high-stakes professional work. Creativity is an act of liability when you are auditing compliance logs.
Oh, for sure.
You need verifiable facts. But to get that researcher to work properly, you have to build their workspace very intentionally.
Which leads us directly into how the tool is actually structured.
Yeah.
So getting started is pretty simple. You just need a Google account. You go to notebooklm.google.com and you create a notebook.
Yep. Very low barrier to entry.
But the guide emphasizes a really key tip here. You have to give it a highly specific name, like Q3 Operations Review, and only upload related documents.
Right.
Like if you upload a scattered mix of completely unrelated files, it will basically ruin the tool's effectiveness, right?
Oh, absolutely. You cannot treat it like a digital junk drawer. If you name a notebook miscellaneous stuff and upload your kid's soccer schedule next to a community health assessment,
It's just going to get so confused.
the semantic search gets incredibly muddy. You are establishing a universe of truth for that specific session, so you need ruthless curation of your files.
Okay, so once you have your curated files, what are you actually looking at? The interface is basically 3 panels.
Exactly. It is a 3-panel workspace. Let's break down the screen you actually see. On the left, you have the Sources panel. This is your knowledge base.
What kind of stuff can you put in there?
You can upload PDFs, Google Docs, slides, sheets, even websites. And recently, YouTube videos and raw audio files. Up to 50 sources on the free tier.
Wow, 50. And it processes all of that.
It instantly generates a summary for each document as soon as you upload it. Then in the center, you have the chat panel.
Which looks pretty much like standard AI chat.
It looks similar, yeah. But the crucial difference is every single response includes built-in citations.
Oh, that is huge.
It is. You can hover over a citation to see the exact quoted text or click it to jump right to that specific page in the original uploaded document.
It forces the AI to show its work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, on the right, you have the studio panel. This is the one-click output engine. It creates audio overviews, reports, slide decks, mind maps, infographics, quizzes.
Flashcards, yeah. It's wild. But wait, I have a practical question about this setup.
Sure, go for it.
If I dump 50 dense documents into the sources panel on the left, won't it get confused if I only want to ask a question about one specific report? Like, doesn't the context window just get completely flooded?
That is a very real problem in standard AI workflows, but NotebookLM actually has a really simple resolution for this, which the text highlights. Next to every single source, there is a simple checkbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can use those checkboxes to dynamically include or exclude specific documents from your current conversation.
Ah, so the files remain indexed in the background, but you are effectively just pulling 2 or 3 specific physical folders out of the filing cabinet for that one question.
Precisely. You narrow the universe of truth for that specific prompt.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so now that we know where the buttons are and how to keep the workspace organized, how do we actually get this tool to give us the exact kind of professional output we need?
That is the next step, moving from basic querying to actual synthesis.
Here's where it gets really interesting, custom instructions.
Yes. The customization is where a casual user transitions into a power user. The guide outlines a 2-level system for this.
Okay, break that down for us.
First, you have the overall notebook settings. There's a little gear icon where you can define a permanent persona for that workspace.
So like a global setting.
Right. For example, you might type, "You are a healthcare administration advisor. Summarize findings in plain language suitable for a non-clinical audience. Always identify implications for department operations."
So every time I ask it a question in that notebook, it automatically filters the answer through that specific professional lens.
Exactly. You don't have to remind it who it's talking to every single time you type a message, but the genius part is the second level, the one-off chat instructions.
How does that work?
Well, even if your overall notebook is set to that non-clinical executive tone, you can still ask a single chat message to format a response specifically for, say, a highly technical board presentation.
Oh, so you just override the global setting for a microtask?
Yep, without changing the permanent settings at all.
That flexibility is incredible. But what does this advanced synthesis actually look like in practice? Because it sounds great in theory.
Let's use the specific examples from the source. Think about summarization. Manually dissecting a 50-page community health report takes hours just to find the baseline themes.
Oh yeah, it's exhausting.
But here you upload it, and you just ask it to pull the top 3 strategic priorities. Or you ask it to summarize its approach to very specific issues, like food insecurity or behavioral health access.
And it just scans the whole thing and gives you the answer.
It pulls all the scattered relevant passages, synthesizes them, and cites every single claim instantly.
The time compression alone is staggering. But the cross-referencing is what really blew my mind.
Oh, it is incredibly powerful.
I mean, think about doing that manually. You have a proposed strategic plan and a dense quality metrics report. You literally have to lay physical pages side by side on your desk. You're sitting there with a highlighter for hours.
Right, hunting for a metric in document A, trying to hold it in your head.
Exactly. And scanning document B for the matching data point. It is so prone to human error, but NotebookLM does it in seconds. You just ask it where the metrics support or contradict the strategic goals, and it does it with exact citations.
It maps the connections across both sources and presents the friction points immediately. It really is like magic.
It really is. But every tool has its breaking point, right? If NotebookLM is so powerful at text analysis, where does it actually stumble? When should you reach for a different tool?
That is a crucial reality check, and the source is very clear about its limitations. Its biggest weakness is quantitative or structured data.
Meaning numbers.
Right. If you have a complex data table or thousands of rows of raw financial data, you are better off pasting it into Claude or Gemini.
Because at its core, a language model is a language calculator, not a math calculator.
Exactly. It will struggle with complex math and might hallucinate the numbers. Another limitation is the studio outputs.
Right, like those audio overviews or infographics.
Yeah. Once they're generated, they have very limited editing capabilities within the platform. The guide suggests you should view them as strong starting points rather than finished products ready for the boardroom.
Okay, so what does this all mean? Because its inability to answer questions outside your uploaded documents is framed as a limitation, but honestly, it's actually its greatest superpower.
How so?
It forces the AI to stay honest.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it changes how you should organize your professional AI toolkit. The guide actually suggests a three-layer approach.
Okay, lay out the 3 layers for us.
Layer 1 is general chat. So Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, this is your expansive brainstorming layer. Drafting emails, general problem solving.
Right, where creativity is a feature, not a bug.
Exactly. Layer 2 is projects. This is for organizing ongoing work with custom instructions and a bit of context, like managing active creative workflows.
And layer 3.
Layer 3 is NotebookLM. This is your document analyst. You deploy this when you have the raw materials, and your objective is the extraction or comparison of verified facts.
That makes total sense. Going back to our healthcare administrator example, when you are summarizing a regulatory update for your team, you want absolute traceability to the actual regulation.
You cannot afford a general AI hallucination in that scenario.
No, absolutely not. And NotebookLM makes that traceability automatic. It provides the empirical confidence you need to make executive decisions.
It really does transform daunting administrative reading into a database you can just interact with instantly.
So to wrap up this deep dive, NotebookLM isn't here to replace your general AI chatbots. It is a highly specialized, citation-obsessed assistant designed to compress hours of tedious reading and cross-referencing into minutes of verified analysis.
It helps you make sense of the information you already own.
Exactly. So for you listening right now, grab a stack of those dense reports you've been putting off reading and build your first notebook today. Try it out.
But as you set up that workspace, I want to leave you with one final kind of provocative thought that wasn't actually in our source text today.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
If NotebookLM allows us to perfectly cross-reference and instantly synthesize massive 50-page reports, how might this fundamentally change the way organizations write these documents in the first place?
Oh, wow.
Right. If we know an AI is going to be the primary reader, summarizing it for the executives, will the way we format and write professional human narratives become entirely obsolete?
Will we just start writing machine-readable data packets? That is a wild thought to end on. Something for you to ponder the next time you're struggling to write a lengthy executive summary. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.